We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes beyond the Walking Dead universe. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I'm joined by Bridget. ko-fi.com/Punky Brewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER. And Charity was going to be with us, but she's here in the audience with the chat and everything. She where she's at is pretty noisy right now because, as we spoke about last week, her apocalypse bunker is being taken up not only by noisy television, but a noisy telephone call from her husband to a long-lost relative. So it's just us for now and Charity in the chat. And hey, why are you here? Well, you're here because you're watching us Squawking Dead covering The Last of Us. We said it last week, but we had to restart because my mic was funky in the beginning. So we didn't quite say, oh, we're talking about The Last of Us right from the beginning. And we're here to cover the second episode of The Last of Us series on HBO. Before we continue, obviously, please like and share this video, as well as remember to subscribe and enable all notifications so that you know when we go live or we release cool content that we want to share with your ear faces. Well, which is appropriate because these infected do kind of look like ear faces. So, and they use ears to communicate apparently. So the first thing I actually want to talk about before we get on, hi Lois, is something that I missed last week. Because of course, just like today, we're reacting. We're only reacting to the second episode of The Last of Us. Lois says, I didn't see that coming. Yeah. In response to this episode, Mitchell says, hello, popping in to say hi to you all. I haven't seen the episode yet, so I'll watch this later. Also, can't wait until the next Jackbox games, whenever that will be. Wink, wink. He didn't say wink, wink, but I think that's what he's implying. Charity says, what the fuck is an ear face? Well, you just saw it, so there you go. Lois says, hey, everyone. AJ Abbott says, define ear face, laughing my ass off. Well, if you saw it, you saw it. They kind of just look like deformed ear faces. Anyway, just never mind me. I wanted to say something about last week. We were only reacting to last week's episode, just like today, and hopefully this episode will be a shorter one because upon writing the blog, I had so much more to say, so many facts that emerged as a result of this episode airing, that if you missed the blog, we just posted it today. Head over to blog.squawkingdead.com. It should be there immediately, and you have the ability to type your email address to get the latest blogs in your email so that you never miss it. Don't rely on social media. Just put your email in there and you'll get it right after it's posted. But something that I did miss last week because we didn't do a full episode breakdown was in the scene where Ellie meets Joel for the first time and knocks her against the wall, which I kept rewinding and replaying over and over again just because I'm a sadist. It's just hilarious. Okay.
So weird.
Now, that's not what I want to talk about. She is there holding her neck, holding like she's reaching across with her, I want to say it's her left arm on her right shoulder behind her neck while Marlene and Joel are talking. And all of a sudden, the woman behind Marlene does the same thing. And I'm wondering now, is it not only the immunity that Ellie has? When as a result of this episode, we are kind of confirming that she has some sort of immunity at the very least. But she does it, Ellie does it, and the woman behind her does it not at the same time, but just right after. Now, it's weird. You don't notice it if you're not looking closely, but I'm wondering if she has some sort of weird powers of some kind that she can make, just like the cordyceps can make hijack people's attention. Maybe she has a little of that and she can control humans somehow. I don't know, but it was weird. The woman behind her did the same exact thing, reached out with her left arm to the spot behind her neck, sort of on the shoulder and the neck. Anyway, look out for that. If you watch the episode again, you will see it. Let's read some more comments to find your face. Okay. Walking Dead Eternal says, you haven't seen the episode? Well, some people haven't. they do look like ear faces. Anyway. Hey, it's
Hopefully
Akira.
Mitchell left the chat already.
right.
I hope.
But Walking Dead Eternal, Mitchell's a nice guy and he supports us dearly, and he just wanted to pop on to say he supports us and loves us.
Yeah.
And Takira loves us too. I missed your faces, she says, and I miss your face. You know, and you can see us. It's not fair, but we can't see you. But you're here. That's all that matters. Sharon says, I wanted to remark about all the people missing limbs in the first episode. Yes, the veterans. The opening to the time jump, sort of, right after they kill the kid. Well, during the dumping of his corpse. I got my wife to actually watch the repeat of the first episode just before this second episode. And I got her to watch as long as she could. And she, I will say this much, just like Henry Cavill is what got her to watch The Witcher, Pedro Pascal is basically what got her to hang on to watch the first episode with me. So she's got a thing for daddies, I guess. Apocalypse daddies. She's going to bust in this room and says, I shouldn't say that to people. You should tell them my secrets. Hello, it says, do y'all know that Tess played in Fringe? Yeah, we remarked on it last week. Yeah, it was the most notable thing, which led me to the Joshua Jackson conversation, which we won't talk about again.
No, we're not talking about that anymore.
See, in Blazing Garden, Sharon says, what if she can control cordyceps? And so that would be an additional bonus. Right, but see, I see you shaking your head, Bridget, and I'm thinking to myself,
I can't.
is it a bridge too far, right? We're not there yet. We're not in that country yet.
I'm out.
Yeah. Sharon also says, even when they are in town later too, the veterans. Oh yeah. People still missing limbs. Right. Pedro Pascal or Oberyn Martell. Sharon says, wait till you meet Oberyn Martell. It's like 10 years. It's Pedro Pascal, but 10 years earlier. So Takira says, and this will take us back into the episode discussion. Wait till you meet. Oh no, I just need to know if they're going to kill me every week. I should watch ahead in the game so that I know what's coming. So Bridget, on that note, you just said right before we got on, which is really funny.
It's okay. So miraculously, I played to the same exact point again in the game.
Meaning, the same
What
point.
are the odds?
The same point that we're on in the show is basically where you got up to in the game, which thankfully that's pretty great.
Two episodes in a row now.
No further.
No further.
What I remarked when you said that to me, I said, well, so basically 2 hours of gameplay equals one episode, essentially.
Like an hour 45 minutes of gameplay is one episode of the show.
Right. And we'll get to some of the. So here's the thing. Again, this is going to be a reaction episode. We're going to give you our reactions and probably give you as much as we can that we gleaned from this episode on our first watch. No notes. So hopefully this is a shorter episode, and I do thank you for joining us. And remember to like, share, subscribe. Remember to enable all subscribe notifications. But in addition to this, if you like what we're doing, one thing you can do is either follow us for free on either patreon.com/squawkingdead or ko-fi.com/squawkingdead. It's right there in the corner there, right there. And if you happen to buy us a coffee during the stream, a message will pop up showing your support and whatever message you decide to put in the comments box, as well as it being read out to us on air, live, disrupting our conversation with you, obviously, with your support. So you basically get to interrupt me while I'm talking when you support us. So there you go.
Do it.
Well, you don't have to do it. It's just, it's just like if you feel like it, and
no, do it. Interrupt Dave.
And not only that, if you buy us a coffee, that's true. But also, if you subscribe, if you if you join a membership tier on ko-fi.com/squawkingdead, it'll show that as well. So there you go. Okay, so Sharon D, just like last week, she's finally caught on to me. I love smart as Ellie. Slightly annoying, but yeah, let me see what else. That was an amazing episode. Teresa Harper says, yeah. See, okay. So on that note, did you happen to find this episode a little bit more meaty than the last episode? Like, of course, we got a lot of backstory. We got a lot of filling in character motivations in the last episode. We got caught up with the world as we know it for the most part. But in this episode, we got a lot more motion, let's say. We're going somewhere now. We're doing something. And I think this episode did a good job of kind of keeping the pace while also still giving us a little bit more backstory, but more on the motion side of things. Well, what do you think of that, Bridget?
Yeah, it was less like it was less of that like they had to build the setting and they had to build
In the
the
first,
whole story, right? In
Right.
that first episode. So it was like 30 minutes of that at the beginning, maybe even like 45 minutes of that at the beginning. So this was nice to get some movement, and the whole time I'm like, how far are they going to get? Are they going to get to a part that I didn't get to yet in the game? So that's what's been occupying my brain, unfortunately, as the person who's required to play the game.
No, you took this burden on yourself because you didn't want anybody else to do it.
I didn't
You're
want
like,
anybody else.
this
to
is
do it.
my territory. Get rid of my
Look,
work.
we don't need anybody else, okay? We have
Yeah, that's exactly
who we
how
need.
you said it. Yes. It's like, we don't need other
don't need-
gaming YouTubers or
No. It's fine.
it's fun.
We're
I'm the
fine.
gaming YouTuber. Anyway,
We're fine. I play games sometimes.
sometimes.
I
How's that
sometimes,
walkthrough?
not often.
How's that game? How's that what is it called? Walking Dead: The Last Mile. How's that going? It's over, right?
Oh, it's over. It's over.
No more content for
It's
that.
been over. No, it's over.
Right.
I don't even know how it ended. Anyway,
You're like,
ah,
fuck this game. I'm not really good at
I
it.
gave up. I gave up. No, it's
I
like
kept
it's just-
killing
it was
people. Apparently.
just- well, that wasn't me. That was like everybody had to make the conclusions all together, and people kept choosing wrong. They're idiots.
They're just stupid. They kept choosing
They're
wrong.
so stupid.
Yeah,
They
you
kept
know what?
choosing wrong.
Defer your poor gameplay. I'm just kidding. I know it's a whole world building thing. So
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It wasn't for me, right? Like I'm beyond that. But anyway, so this episode seemed one. It gave enough variations from the game again that I wasn't bored.
Mm-hmm.
Because this time I literally finished where I was in the game, walked into the bedroom and started the episode.
Whoa, just right now. Wow, walked in.
Yes,
Wow.
So
Okay.
this would have been like really like boring for me to sit through.
Right.
Had it been exactly the same. So I liked the part at the beginning, so I'm hoping that we're gonna continue this trend of there being like a little
Science-y.
precursor science business at the beginning. Yeah,
Right.
I like it.
Yeah, I did too. I liked how they quickly established, unlike The Walking Dead, which, listen, The Walking Dead is The Walking Dead. I mentioned this in the blog, how The Walking Dead purposefully, with intention, did not want to go into flashbacks and did not want to go into the origins and maybe a cure. They did not want to do that because their whole emphasis was on who are you now, that this is all over. But here, they paid close attention to not only tell you, oh, here's the origin of the thing. There is no hope, though. Like there's no hope.
Yeah.
The lady, my mycologist, the study of fungus, she says, just bomb the city. There's nothing, which alludes to basically what Dr. Neumann, who's played by John Hannah, says in the last episode in the 1968 talk show. That there's
1962.
62. Okay, I have to correct the blog. The 1962 talk show where he says, there's no hope. That would be the thing that takes us out. We could survive
Yeah.
bacterial infections. We could survive viral infections. There's no hope.
Well, so I wanted to see if that character, what was her name, Ibu Ratna, if she was like in the game, right? So I was like, all right, well, look, I'm already playing the game, so let me just like go spoil myself on. It's fine. So for the podcast, so I went in and looked it up, and it wasn't there. But what I did see was an article about would this posted 4 days ago, like would this take us out as a society? Like would this
As
even
a
be scientifically
species,
possible?
right?
And I didn't have time to read it because this is all happening, while I'm watching. But I'm excited to go back and read it now, and I will make sure that I
Give me the link. Yeah,
give you the link for the blog.
right.
It was on CNET, but I'm
Cool.
excited to read it.
I
Yeah,
like
I'm
CNET.
excited to read it.
Let me track back to some of the comments because I saw Sharon D post, "You're a weird kid," which it's
That was
nice.
funny.
It's nice to get these moments of levity from Ellie. At the same time, you're like simultaneously amused with the hotel bellhop situation, but then on the other hand, you have Walking Dead brain, and it's like, kid, shut the fuck up, stop it. I'm with the adults in the room, the over 50s. Like, please stop.
Well, I was just like, dude, you're like, quit ringing a bell, man. Aren't you like worried?
Well, no, she did, and now we know she doesn't have to be worried. I mean, yes, they can still tear people apart. She doesn't find that out till later. But yeah, right, in the museum, which they are not in, they're in the hotel. But still, these people are here to protect you. Takira says, oh, she mentioned earlier that somebody saw her Squawking Dead hoodie. And she goes, you are the Squawking Dead? You should have said, no, Takira, we are Squawking Dead. But she said, damn right I am. Anyway, Takira says, Joel was kind of making me mad, acting all scared of Ellie. Scared of Ellie or for Ellie? Like, clearly she wasn't sick. Oh, okay, yeah. No, but that's completely natural. I kind of like that. What do you think?
I mean, like, yeah, I totally got it. At first, I was like, because okay, like, let's talk about the hand thing, right, in the hotel lobby. Okay, so she falls back onto the piano, and he goes to help her, and he grabs her hand, and then he, like, looks down at his hand, and I was like, okay, that's, like, one of 3 potential looks that was just given. That hurt my hand. Why did I grab her with this hand that's broken? Is 1.
Right.
2,
I like that.
She's possibly infected. Ew. Why would I touch her with a hand?
Right.
That has an open wound on it. So not so much like fear of her being infected, but
fear of
potentially
himself
getting infected himself.
Right.
3, was it a fear of, I haven't held a little girl's hand since my daughter's.
Right. So
that was like 3 possible. So I wasn't really sure what they were aiming for in that moment.
Well, there's more moments that help me understand that he doesn't want to get close to not only Ellie, but anybody, because it feels like he goes out of his way to not make any connection, except for his brother, obviously. And maybe that could just be what people are supposed to do. Also, like, I'm supposed to go after my brother, right? Anyway, but you get the distinct feeling that, like, he doesn't want to feel this way. He doesn't want to feel, because you saw the end of the last episode, Ellie's like, for somebody who doesn't really like me, he went really too far to protect me this time. And she doesn't know that his daughter died in his arms, but he does.
Did you watch the recap before watching the episode?
No, I didn't. Oh, okay, yeah, so, I did a little bit.
So the recap actually synced up those 2 scenes, like Joel with the soldier that shoots Sarah, and Joel with the soldier that's going to shoot them after finding out that Ellie is infected.
Right.
It synced those 2 up, and I didn't even realize during that watch that I did that, like, the light from the flashlight from the gun was like the same.
Ish, yeah.
He's like, you're only seeing silhouettes. Like, I don't know. That was a really nice touch, I thought.
Well, they did that.
Brought it full circle.
They did that in the actual episode too. In the actual episode, it flashed back to he and Sarah.
Did it?
Yes,
See,
yes.
I don't even remember that.
Because, like I said, I rewatched it with my wife just before I watched the second episode. So it made it crystal clear that, like, this is the moment. Never let me down again. This is the moment where he says, it's not going to go down the way it did last time. Like, I trusted authority to help, help us. And even this guy, he knows, and he's doing things by the book and whatever, he's actually testing them, whatever. He wasn't going to help them. I missed a couple of comments, but let's backtrack. Sharon says the line I related to the most was, quote, climb 10 flights of stairs with our knees.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I felt that. I've had knee surgery too.
Everyone's saying it was 1968. I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, so I was right, yeah.
I swore it said 62 at the beginning of the episode. But.
See, I went back to our coverage to kind of listen to it, just to make sure I had it right. And I actually had to correct myself. I thought it was 63, 68. So thank you, Teresa. Teresa says she's not in the game. Who? We talked about a lot of people. Oh, the Ratna. Ibu Ratna.
Yeah, she's not.
Right. Okay. Oh, she didn't even think of the connection with his daughter. Oh, I didn't even think of the connection with this. Oh, yeah, because the hesitation, right. Sharon says, I was leaning for a number 2.
The I'm afraid with the open wound thing.
Oh,
I think
okay,
is what
okay.
she's talking about.
Oh, yeah, okay. So Takira says, I'm already more afraid of living in the Last of Us universe than TWDs. I thought everyone is infected was kind of the worst, but as humans, that's something we can kind of get used to and not worry about. Turning until we are about to die. This world is a whole other monster, pun intended. Which, yeah, this world actually established the mycelial network. It's what I'm going to call it for now, and I'm borrowing it from Star Trek Discovery. Essentially, they travel through a mycelial network as an alternative to warp travel. Some of you who watch the show will get it. Some of you won't. But anyway, mycelia, that's code for mushrooms. So apparently, yeah. So what's really, really scary about this universe's zombies, is that they have a mycelial network. If they are connected through these tendrils, they may be connected to other clusters that are down the street or maybe even longer distances. We don't know. But when you see the courthouse, I think it was, or the Capitol building, is that where the fireflies are held up? I think you're muted.
They're
Oh, no,
headed to
you're
the
not.
Capitol building. Yeah.
Okay, so when you see the bodies of the dead, apparently dead, maybe dead, who knows? You do see the little tendrils, and they happen to be connected to the cluster that was out in the road that they were observing from the hotel. I want to say yes, the hotel.
Yep.
So that's what got them to come. And that is terrifying because not only do you have that, but you also have really fast moving zombies, let's say. So, or infected, we should call them.
Yeah.
So,
Excuse me.
so yeah. And so we thought, oh, how cool. The transmission is a lot like The Walking Dead, where there's bites and sometimes there's these tendril kisses, which we saw again in this episode. Not just from Nana. We got it to see it. Anna Torv getting a nice sloppy mycelial kiss.
Gross.
Cordyceps kiss.
Blech.
Walking Dead Eternal says, have anyone noticed that the clickers made the same sound like in the Grudge movies? I'm sure that was intentional. To get you feeling that horror feel. Sharon says
it was similar in the game, the sounds that they make.
It sounds like it was.
Yeah.
And the same music too, but I noticed in the intro for the series, it's the same music or opening theme as the game, or at least the first game, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
I want to say so. With the acoustic guitar.
If it plays for so little a period of time that
Okay.
that I did not notice.
Sharon says they flash back to it in the episode. I watched it 3 times. Oh yeah, she's referring to the soldier versus the soldier in the present and the future, or sorry, the past and the future, present. I also love the frog on the piano. I like that too. There's a distinct sense that nature has made residence where civilization once was.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like the photos that are taken in the nuclear fallout areas in the world, and then also like there's been
in
photos
this
released
world,
of,
or what do you mean, just in general?
in our world, in our real world.
Well, I meant this world as in the Last of Us, or okay. No, but can you expand on that a
in
bit?
our real world.
Or conceptual photos, you're saying, or maybe
No.
even like Chernobyl. You're saying.
I'm talking about like Chernobyl.
But,
I'm
okay,
talking about real
so
places, Dave.
Be specific. Yeah. Well,
You keep talking. You keep talking. How am I supposed to tell you?
So, but wait, but where? Hiroshima? What?
Damn
Okay, go ahead.
There were also photos released of areas of Disney
But wait, is it? Okay.
World that were closed.
Oh.
Frontier World, I think was one of them, or Frontierland, and that all succumbs to nature over time.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, okay, so in North Carolina, in the mountains, there was a Wizard of Oz park. Really creepy, like ethereal photos of it went around several years ago. It since then has been opened by like the current owner several times a year, and now it's like fixed up and looks more nice. But the reason it became
You said
such a
more
popular
nice.
concept,
Like, not quite, but
no, I'm sure they still
just
have
a
some
dump.
of it. Like, it's not gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like part of what the draw was the fact that it had succumbed to nature and it was so chilling to us because
Right.
it's like it moves past us and the effect that we have on the world.
Right. It reminds you that you don't have control. Like you can
Yeah.
try, but unless you maintain it. In that sense, it kind of reminds me of Blade Runner, the book, because the book kind of goes out of its way in the beginning to talk about Kipple. And Kipple is just everything that kind of piles up if you don't keep it in check. It's more garbage, but it's really everything. Growth, dust, dirt, garbage. If you don't maintain it, it will overtake you. And
Yeah.
so this is it's kind of like a reminder of that. Takira says, so essentially exploding them hurts the whole network? Well, basically touching the nerve. The mycelial network is kind of like a nerve center in a way. So it sounds like it'll alert them to your presence. They kind of explain that before they get into the museum.
Yeah,
How
I don't know that it would hurt them. Like, I don't know that blowing up, like, if they weren't all in there, I don't know that blowing up some of them would have hurt, like, the other group. It would have
yeah,
notified them, like, they
right,
would have known.
right.
But
That's
I
where
don't know that it would hurt
it's
them.
how they know there's food there, and since mushrooms are so used to being static in
Because then
life,
we hit the concept of, like, can fungus feel pain? Like, and then it's, like, a whole thing that we're, like, going into.
you're on notice, vegans. Anyway, Sharon D says very mad about Tess.
You guys, I knew it was coming. Like I had watched Travis play a lot of this game before, and it came back to me in my first episode gameplay that she was a goner. So it was like kind of disappointing that
Yeah,
it was Anna Torv, and I really like her, and I was like, this is gonna suck. But then they made it so far into the episode that I actually had hopes for a minute that they weren't gonna do it.
right, right.
But then they did.
And just true to form, just to be clear, it sounds like the same thing happens in the game.
She's bit in the same exact spot. Ellie is not bit a second time. So I don't know why they're really trying to like drive that point home in the
Well,
show.
I know
Or
exactly
for Joel,
why.
I guess, for Joel's sake, I guess. But
Well, it makes it more realistic
so
because it really drives the point home that she's definitely immune. We had said last week that they were bearing the lead real hard for some reason, and this is the reason because he even mentions in the episode how many have tried. Some people do survive a month. He says in this episode, it's not unusual for people to actually survive past the 24-hour point. It's the fact that like the infection hasn't spread. They paid special attention to showing the difference between Tess and Ellie after being bit as well. And so, people talking about the cure, et cetera, but even us like getting the information in the first episode, how they buried the lead, and we're like, why are they so hardcore about burying the lead? And they kind of having that second bite really emphasizes the point that like, oh, this is not bullshit. They're not gonna lead us on for several episodes down the line, making us wonder what if finally getting to wherever they're going west, maybe, possibly, and then like going, haha, just kidding, she's gonna die or she's dying. But you still got that scene, and I mentioned this
yeah.
in the blog and showed a picture of it, of Ellie basically rubbing her arm. And I show this in full screen. And her arm is looking like it was bit even yet again, or maybe this is the one that she's rubbing, the second bite, because it's affecting her somehow. But let's continue reading some comments. Sharon says, there is a theme park in Louisiana. I missed some of the other ones. There's a theme park in Louisiana that was abandoned after a hurricane. There's a documentary about it on Amazon, I think. And just to kind of drop a little pin, my friend Matt loves those photos of abandoned malls and stuff like that, and how it really doesn't take even like that long for them to become overgrown after distress and broken windows and debris flying in and stuff starting to grow from ponds and stuff. So you can probably get some of those photos in, I think on his website, dreamsin16by9.com, maybe. So head over to that. Takira says, I was wondering if maybe some of those things we saw hadn't been there a whole 20 years. Like, I don't know, maybe survivors that died more recently left some of it behind. Maybe. Heather Jinks says, "Hey." Oh, she says Steph. Hi.
Hi.
Sharon says there was stuffed animal under the wrecked car that just glared at me. Like, no way it would have been so bright and recognizable. Yeah, and that too also gave me that teddy bear walker feel again to this episode. We mentioned it last week how the kid going to the Fedra border crossing made us think of the teddy bear girl walker from the pilot of The Walking Dead. This one too. And yeah, it also probably emphasizes that there is a sort of maybe a migrant train possibly, and kind of ties in very nicely to how Joel was saying all those people, yeah, they thought they could cross this area and make it to Fedra or make it away from Fedra, and they keep piling up in this cluster of infected. And so yeah, maybe you're right, Sharon. Maybe this was a more recent, tragedy, let's say. Takira says if taking a bunch of them out doesn't weaken the whole, that's just unfair. And that's another thing. It feels like it takes a lot to take them down. It's not like a simple headshot too. That was another thing I wanted to mention, how this is a lot more. These people have no reason, and it makes Joel so right. These people have no reason to have drive or hope. I even mentioned in the blog, I don't know how there's even a reason for Joel to get out of bed some days. And yet he does, and he's very driven. He's hustling. He's got his day job. He's got his drug side hustle. He needs to get a battery to get his brother back. Probably some sort of familial obligation. Who knows? But everybody's saying hi to Heather. Sharon says tomatoes scream when they're stressed. Takira says, yes, plants actually feel pain. We just can't hear how it affects them. But wasn't it that was it Maynard? What was his band called?
TLoU?
Yeah, TLoU.
Perfect Circle?
Didn't he have the Cries of the Carrots? That was one of their songs.
I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't know. I haven't listened to TLoU since I was like 13.
It was one of those. Anyway, whatever. Heather says, hey. We say, hey. How are you? Takira says, the people that last a month, I wonder if maybe they have a slight immunity or at least the ability to try to fight off the fungus. Well, I guess nobody waited long enough to find out, or maybe it just kept progressing, and just eventually overtook them. Sharon says, would have been taking antifungal pills before any kind of immunity? Well, one thing about antifungals is that they ravage your body to toxic levels, and there's no guarantee that they work. This is just like a common fact, which is why Dr. Ratna, the mycologist, I'll remind you again, she's like, yeah, there's no time to make something of this nature, for us to study it, to make, it's just there's no hope. And she makes it very clear. I mean, look, the acting speaks for itself. First of all, it was heart-rendering. Actually, they really started off super strong with that scene, that opening scene.
Yeah, it was great.
And then it really kind of sets the stage for why Joel acts the way he does in this episode. Joel and Tess, but mostly Joel. Even throughout the end, it's like, I got to deal with this shit. Takira says, oh, that's a good thought, Sharon. Yeah, well, no. Yeah, it's a good thought. Hey, David Carranza, what's up? Hey, David. Yo, Carranza. Okay, so I don't know, where is there? So any other things in the game that you said there was a distinct departure from the games in this episode. Is there anything that jumps out at you?
Yes. So, sorry, I just read the next comment.
I know. Yeah, we'll get to
it. So yes. So the beginning scene was not in the game, obviously, with the doctor. Right. The scene after the credits with Ellie and the sandwiches and like that whole thing, not in the game at all.
Super funny too.
It was a great scene, and it did add a lot of depth to like, why is there this relationship between Ellie and the Fireflies, and like it was interesting. Joel came off really cold-hearted and stern in that, and I don't think, I mean, like, maybe I see it a little, I just don't really see it in the game all that much. But anyway, moving on from that,
You actually wrote some things down.
No. Some things just were slightly different. So they didn't go to a hotel. That wasn't part of the game. It's a lot of like sneaking through buildings, and the museum is pretty time consuming.
In the game?
In the game,
Okay.
yeah.
So that
there's
existed.
a lot there.
Okay.
It was a museum. There's a whole like subway portion that we didn't go to. But it's essentially the same thing. It's clickers, and it would be really repetitive if we just kept seeing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
So, the thing with Tess spraining her ankle, that was not the same. The walking across the wood and Ellie being completely unafraid of that, identical. Like I know it's scary, and she just is already like halfway across.
Right. It's wood. It's
when
not
he's trying
clickers.
to tell her. Like she doesn't care.
Yeah.
She didn't say that like in the game, but it's just that whole nonchalance about like, it's fine. I'm not worried about it.
Right.
The part with the I can't swim.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the game, but it took place right before they got to the Capitol building. There's actually like a huge pool of water in front of the Capitol building in the game, and that's where that conversation comes in.
Which kind of makes fun of the hotel scene in a way. Like it subverts a little bit of those gameplay expectations.
Yeah, which is great. I also love the conversation that they have where they're like, oh, so the spitting spores out and infecting you isn't a thing. I loved that because, like, actors, right? So they're not going to wear masks in their scenes, which...
You're talking about COVID protocols, I guess, in a way?
No. I'm talking about full-out masks.
Which is the reason...
you would wear if you were trying to avoid spores. But yeah, that's the reason they don't do it, because actors have feelings.
Well, I think it's more the producers, I think, because... They're like, because they know people want to see the faces of these actors.
There's a lot of actors who will demand it.
And it's
why am I doing this if I'm not going to be seen?
It's the same reason that actors. Do you remember? There's the Calm Before, and then there's the Storm season 9, season finale. I think it was a season 9 season finale. Yeah. How Jeffrey Dean Morgan, there's this snowstorm, and he's without a hat and a scarf, and his jacket's open, and it's winter, folks. It's winter. Yeah. And the one glaring comment that I had is like, zip up your coat, goddammit. It's freezing, actor. And the reason why. It's because they need to be seen. Producers want the stars to be seen. Like, it's like, okay, it's the reason why my wife sat there and watched the show, because Daddy Pascal was on the screen. And if he was in a gas mask, they wouldn't get to see Daddy Pascal. It's fucking human behavior, folks.
I get it. It's fine. I don't care that they got rid of it. I thought it was really a funny way to poke fun at the fact that they were doing it differently.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I
sure.
enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. The other big difference was the cordyceps being connected. That was not a conversation that happened.
Was it a reality in the games in any way?
Not that I've gotten to.
Ooh.
I mean, could be, but not that I've gotten to.
If anybody else knows, chime in.
No, don't.
Chime in. Tell us that the games tell us what we don't already know.
No, shut up. Don't say anything. Don't ruin it for me. Okay, so other than that... the other big difference is that it's not infected that Tess fights at the end.
It's not infected that Tess bites?
It's not infected. Fights. Can you not hear me?
No, I can hear you. I just didn't I didn't understand the English that was coming out of your mouth. It's not the infected that Tess fights in the end. Is that what you said?
Yes, yeah.
What does she fight in the game?
In the game she fights. It's like military from the QZ.
Gotcha. So they switch it up.
Why'd you act like that was such a weird sentence? That
it's just the way.
All right, look.
You said it.
Chime in, chat. That was a normal sentence.
It's not the infected Tess fights. I'm sorry. My brain just kind of went silent for a minute.
I was like, that is a normal sentence.
So, no, it's not. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so David Carranza says, loved episode 2. The accuracy is uncanny and so enjoyable. Is Ashley if Ashley Johnson appears, I'm dead. Yeah, I hear that. She's a little too young for me, but hey, you're a young guy, so it's about the same age. Anyway, Takira says, love the sandwich scene. Sharon says the set design is fabulous. Yeah, I love
It's beautiful.
Distinct greens all over the swampy waters with all the algae, whatever. Preach. Oh my God, the costumes, David says. Sharon says, hi, I loved that Ellie was so delightfully disgusted in the green water. Accurate. I think all of us would be. It's not like water. It's more like soup. If you go walk through soup.
She's so happy to experience new things, though. It's like she's never gotten to go into a pool.
Yeah.
So like this would be like the biggest body of water for her.
Right. She was like, ew, this is so gross, while smiling and laughing.
Yeah,
right.
It's awesome.
Same. Why were there so many clean zones in Fear the Walking Dead season 7? Well, and that's the thing. Like, one of the comments that we've always made about the Walking Dead was clean teeth. Hygiene seems to be intact.
Their hair looks great.
In the Walking Dead universe, hair looks somewhat okay.
Unless you're Laura / Naomi
/ June.
/ June. Well, no, she isn't June yet at that point.
Okay.
Remember when they fall into, and Madison's wearing that really horrible wig?
The muck, but that's like purposeful, right? It's like, well, we're literally in
Whoever
a pile
chose
of
that
ooze.
Wig made a mistake.
Tahir says, okay, now it's just these two left, and they can't stand each other, but they need to trust each other to make it, Joel and Ellie. This should be interesting. They're going to have to give us more characters so they can kill them after we fall in love with them. I don't know. I mean, their relationship might build for a long time through silence and clickers. I am eager to find out how they do this, and which is kind of like an interesting treat for the people who know somewhat of the games and that they do have a sort of relationship. And for those who play the game, I'm sure it's even better because like they want to see how it differs. Because at some point, like Takira said last week, the game is going to either one, diverge, but two, try to go beyond the gameplay. So I eagerly await that. David says, I love Bella here, so I can't wait to see her work in Game of Thrones. Bella Ramsey. Sharon says she's a badass in Game of Thrones, powerhouse. Richie said the creatures. Takir says Richie says the creatures remind him of the Flood in Halo. Yeah, that's right. So in Halo, not near the end, but like near the endish part of the game, they reveal a sort of spore-like, big-headed creatures that, if you get too close when they die, their heads kind of explode and stuff. And yeah, I can see that. Ober Martell, I can dig it. But Bridget Shub, Carranza says. He says, I'm dead. Hey, Thomas says, Jesus, I just watched. The show is freaking intense. Yeah. That's why I kind of like this episode a little bit more than the first. Thomas is texting me now. Yeah. Quit ignoring me. So I'm trying, man. We don't usually have this much in the chat. I appreciate it. But give me a break. please don't leave. Oh my God, worst makeout ever. Anna Torv the Infected.
So gross.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Are you liking it, cameos? Yeah, my wife and I. She's like, as long as there's Daddy Pascal, I think it's fine. Takira says, we were making gross sounds during that makeout scene. I was holding my breath because at the same time as Anna Torv is making out with the CGI infected Spore Man, she's trying to still light the lighter, and I'm like, is it gonna happen? Is it not going to happen?
It seems like it really wasn't going to.
She's already making the sacrifice. And then like, oh, it's got to go out like this. I'm sure some of the infected ran past her, and Takira says, Teresa Harper says the Spore connection. It's not in the game. She can confirm, I guess. Teresa Harper, did you play both part 1 and part 2? Well, no, that's good though. You don't want it to be in the game, right?
Well, I don't want stuff to be ruined for me.
It's still not. just like you said last week, it's still not going to make it any less terrifying for you, you know? You're like, I hate zombie games, but I love zombie movies and TV.
I was so stressed in the museum part.
In the
It's
game.
Worst.
Right.
It's the worst. There's so... I told Dave, I'm like, there were way more than 2 clickers. It went on forever. And I had to figure out how to get around them, and you gotta, like, throw bottles to distract them. It was horrible.
Takira's like, I knew she was going to light them up. I just knew.
I did not know.
I did not know either.
I was like, maybe not.
Because the more you watch, the more you're like, and because they need to do this, the more you watch, you're trying to figure out where they're going to diverge, right? They're like, oh, maybe it doesn't light up. Maybe they don't get T-boned in town, right, by that car, but an airplane will fall out of the sky. Okay, there's one thing that I did want to make sure I mentioned before we continue or end. You never know. If you guys don't give us any fuel for the conversation, we won't know. But there was a distinct, just like probably the truck getaway scene in the last episode, there was a distinct sense of giving the audience the same point of view as Ellie Williams in this episode. You are there in the museum as well. They're looking around, you're looking around. You are in the game / the show. They did a really, really good job of giving you that POV, like you were escaping or being smuggled as well as Ellie. And I really, really want you in both episodes. I want you to rewatch both episodes. And first of all, where you're Sarah, you as the watcher are Sarah, and you as the watcher are Ellie. And notice how the show does a really, really good job of heightening the tension while making it feel like you are the player in this game. Because that's what a good video game is supposed to do. By way of story, it kind of teaches you the basics of the game. And they did that with the whole mycelial connection, which is new. We just learned thanks to Teresa Harper. It's new. It's not in the game, which brings the terrifyingness to a whole another level that we're not used to, as most of us are Walking Dead watchers. You know, we're used to slow-moving zombies that you can only get infected if you're bitten or die. And this is like fast walkers that can also hear if they can't see, and now they have a mycelial network of walkers, and they can move really fast, then give you disgusting kisses. They can scratch you. This is the confirmed scratch thing, and their mycelial things can poke you in the leg, and you can become infected. So let's read some more comments.
No one will ever look at mushrooms the same way again.
That's most of the comments that are coming through right now. So yeah, looks like bean sprouts. Sharon says, I distinctly, you know, like young.
It did.
To me, it looks like young spruce leaves. Do you ever see like young spruce leaves, like the young ones? It's like not green, obviously, but like it's like white with the little spines on them, and then eventually they grow out and they become bright, you know, deep green. Yeah, like a fir tree.
No, it looked like bean sprouts.
All right, bitch. Yes.
I'm with that.
Takira says, I knew she was going to light them up. Just knew. Oh my God, the scene where Joel had to drag Ellie out of the building. I felt for her. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's because it's like Sarah. You have to unlearn saving people. You have to unlearn, don't leave this person behind. No, she's done. She's not like you. She's done. Thomas says, this would make an intense VR game. Yeah, which is kind of like my point. Like having that POV.
I would die.
She's already not in good shape playing just the video game. Adding VR would. She's like, I quit. Dave, can you play the video game? Because I can't do this anymore. I'll say this now. I get you, Bridget, because one of the greatest games that does this well. This is like an old game, but they came out with many sequels. Thief. The game series Thief. The first game, even as lower fi as it was, the emphasis of the game is to be soundless. So there was a light meter to see if you were in the dark, and there was a sound meter to see if your footsteps would make any noise. And you had all these different arrows as a thief. This was like in medieval times. So you were like an assassin in medieval times. You'd have moss arrows so that you would make sound on marble floors. and you could hear the different directions that people were walking if you had headphones on, and you should have headphones on for that game. But by God, that game got scary. Even if there wasn't any later on in the game, these sort of undead creatures, and if they sneak up on you in the game, it is terrifying because you could hear where they're coming from, and you're looking as a person in that direction, like, and you're like, is it in the room with me? So I get you. I 100% get you. So you should play the game Thief, and maybe its sequels. The story's really good too.
Play Last of Us. Play Thief.
Who has the time? Well, do it for me because I don't have it. Carranza says, David Carranza says, are like it Omega Queen Bridget so far. Oh, well, yeah. So there you go. I don't know what that means, but you're Queen Bridget. So kidding.
Am I liking it?
Are
yes,
like
I
it.
am.
Yes.
I am.
Yeah, I think she means, are you liking it? Yes.
Yeah.
Teresa says, I played part 1. I'm sorry. Oh, so maybe it's in part 2. You never know. Takira says, oh my God, yes, when Sarah went across the street and was standing in the kitchen looking at the monster grandma. Right. I definitely included a very scary picture of Nana in the blog that I published today. So head over there now. Not now.
And I forgive you, Teresa. I forgive you.
Yeah. Joel Thomas says, Joel needs a redneck with a crossbow.
Hell yeah, he does.
But wherever will she find him? France. Takira says, it was totally her point of view. Freaked me out. Right? Yeah. I love it. It was a great move. David Carranza says, my little brother and I played both parts. He's loving it. Oh, cool. Pedro's on fire. So, David, if you played the games, was the mycelial network of tendrils, was that a concept where one cluster of infected could alert another one via that mycelial connection? Let us know. Thomas says, play Jackbox instead of Thief and The Last of Us. And Sharon D's agreeing.
Sure.
You're not supposed to agree. You traitor. Be on our side. Not Thomas's side. There's no sides, everybody. You're all on the same side. I don't know if there's anything else to really talk about. Talked about the point of view thing, which is something I really, really wanted to talk about. Tom says Jackbox gets pretty intense.
It does.
Sometimes.
I'm terrified during Jackbox too.
Some games are very nerve-wracking, yeah. Oh my God. Playing Quicksort with an internet crowd, playing the game too, that is the worst. That if you want your blood pressure to rise, because you want your team, you want the other team to win, because you're like, this is a shit show. Guys, look at your phone screen. Don't look at the anyway. So sometimes we play Jackbox games, by the way. And if you follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/squawkingdead, you can be alerted when we go live to play them. But we also play on our YouTube. But Twitch is where it's at, folks. It's, I think. Anyway, there's not much I wanted to say in this realm. I don't know if there's anything I wanted to say. I mean, going back to the whole nature making residence where civilization once was, when Sharon mentioned the frog on the piano, I just like, what is playing that music? And it's actually not terrible. It's terrible, but it's not that terrible. It's a frog. But it reminded me of that. This is just the randomest thing. When we were covering Tales of the Walking Dead and Jesse T. Usher's character Devon is playing the piano, he's like, "Oh, I'm not that good." I'm like, "Shut up, bitch! You're not bad at all. What are you talking about?" Anyway. Shit. Okay. Tier says, isn't there another show or movie that was similar with the whole doing something over here alerts the monsters to where you are?
Tremors.
It's killing me to try. Tremors the movie.
Tremors.
Right. Tremors 2.
Tremors 1 through 7.
With
all had the same theme.
Wasn't the dad from Family Ties in Tremors? If I'm not mistaken.
It's Kevin Bacon.
Okay,
in Tremors.
Okay. Because there were so many shows like that too. Movies. With the sandworms and stuff.
Yeah. And then as it goes further on, Jamie Kennedy is in it.
Oh my God. All right, never mind.
I love Tremors. Don't come for Tremors.
Thomas says Twitch is the new Friendster. Hopefully not. That's all I can say.
Friendster.
David Carranza says the sports connection is in the game, Dave. Oh, there you go. It's probably part 2. So Thomas Thomas confirms the dad from Family Ties is in Tremors. And Takira, yes. Oh my god,
yeah,
yes,
Reba
Tremors.
McEntire.
Used to be my fave.
Yeah.
Teresa Harper says there's a lot more bad people in the games so far than the zombie spores. And yeah. And Sharon D says I love Tremors, the original. Yes, Reba McEntire. And yep, the dad from Family Ties. Yep. Cool. They won't be in this show. Maybe. I don't know. You never know. If Ashley What's-Her-Face is going to be... I don't know. It's a free-for-all, everybody. I'm going to be on the show. Oh, shit. I spoiled the surprise. Well, cat's out of the bag. Just kidding. I'm not going to be on the show. If I am, it was not... My agent needs to hear... I need to get paid. Anyway. I think, should we call it a night? If anybody else anybody wants to add anything else to this conversation?
I have to be up at like 6 a.m. So
that does not affect me whatsoever. It's all about me. Okay, so how about this? Stay tuned. If you like what you heard, head over to ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead. Leave us 5 stars and an eggplant. That's all we need to know that you love us. But tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. But remember to tell us after every episode or reaction. And if you really like what you've heard, because we will be doing a full breakdown of this episode, hopefully not nearly as long or just as long, that's fine too. You'll want to follow us at either ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead so that you know our recording schedule. It's not going to be live here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and whatever. The only place you're going to find out our recording schedule, it is open to the public, but the only place you can get the link to join us in the audience is via those 2 platforms, Patreon and Ko-fi. But if you like what we're doing even more, if you want to support what we're doing, please consider either buying us a coffee at ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or joining a membership tier for as little as $1 on either platform. It's not required, but you do get some really cool perks like joining our Discord where we have these conversations all the time. You don't have to do that, but you probably should because we have most of our conversations there and we confirm schedules and we want to make sure everybody's there. And the higher up you join in the membership tiers, the more perks that you'll get, like joining us on camera and mic when we play Jackbox games. You get 50% off the merch store. And if you join the Survivors tier on either platform, well, only the ko-fi.com/squawkingdead, you can join us on screen for these episode breakdowns. So, without further ado, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to read the last of the comments. Thomas says, sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog. If you know, you know. Black Lab, lol. it was Ubu on... Anyway. And Shandy says, you were the frog, Dave. I still didn't get paid, okay? That was a very difficult role. I was not aware that I was being shot in that moment. I was having a private moment with... Anyway. Teresa says The Quiet Place. Teresa Harper. That's a great one. Modern reference to being quiet and not making any noise. I haven't watched those movies.
Sorry, I went to such an old movie.
No, I was thinking the same thing. But Teresa came out with a win. Thomas says Dave posts nude shower pics to Patreon supporters. Yeah, because nobody's, except for Ryan, is getting those photos. So, David Carenza says David's voice is so soothing. Laughing my ass off. Emojis. I love him. And then he laughs because wait, do you mean it if you're laughing at the end of it? Anyway. Teresa Harper says, good night. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for helping us break these episodes down. And without further ado, take care, everybody. I've been your host, David Cameo, and you were joined by Bridget, ko-fi.com/punkybrewster. She has content of her own that you may want to follow her there as well to get the latest skinny on.
I promise I'll start doing videos again, guys.
Don't make any promises you can't keep. Anyway, take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Ooh.
I'm just kidding. We'll see you in the full episode breakdown. Hopefully, won't you join us if you're following those platforms? And we'll see you very soon. Hopefully with Cosmom Zero and I, Rachel Burt, and Sharony, a.k.a. Blazy Gardner. We'll see you soon. And I hope you'll be there with us, giving us more insights the more we watch these episodes. Take care. Good night. Bye.
Oh my God, he's a naked frog in his pictures? That's so weird.